Hello and welcome back to Heart of the Holte. I'm riding solo today. There is no Dan Wiseman as this announcement has come pretty imminently, but I guess as Villa fans we should expect this as we have been signing players early in the morning. Ross Barkley has joined Aston Villa on a season-long loan from Chelsea. Now this is a very big signing, one which we touched on in our Transfer Rumour Mill podcast probably a week or so ago. There'd been a lot of talk recently picking up about maybe Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which potentially got even more interesting as Lampard said, look, he probably does need to go out on loan. But obviously here we are talking about Ross Barkley. Now this is equally as exciting. I think if we're getting the Ross Barkley that played at Everton, we're getting a fantastic player for what is essentially just, covering wages for the season. Although there's no option to buy that we're aware of. I'm sure if Ross has a good spell, Chelsea's squad is absolutely stacked, so they're going to have to look at potentially offloading. They're also looking at, with the amount of players they've brought in this summer, they're going to have to raise funds somehow. So temporarily getting Ross off the books on loan makes sense to them, makes sense to Villa as well. Obviously, if we don't need to spend the money now in a transfer fee, then why would we? Now, what would Ross Barkley add to Aston Villa? I think this is what's very important. Obviously, this is now a few days after our game against Fulham, where I've got to be honest, and if you've listened to the podcast for a long time and even watched the latest podcast in which we discussed it, you guys will know I'm not Conor Horahan's biggest fan, but he's constantly stepping up and levelling up the game. Now, obviously, this is a position which Ross Barkley also occupies. I can't see John McGinn or Douglas Luiz losing their spaces to him. So for me, it's going to be either Conor or Barkley. Now, it's interesting as well because obviously there's been a lot of talk over the summer of Rashica. Obviously that hasn't happened yet. Islam Assar is another one. We've been linked with all these wingers. We signed Traore. So there was always going to... The questions were, okay, where's Jack going to play? And I'm sure you guys have all seen the Sport Bible interview where Grealish versus Maddison on their FIFA stats, and he kind of jokingly blames Dean for why he's playing on the left in FIFA. But it looks like the left wing is now almost definitely the position that Jack Grealish is going to occupy indefinitely for the rest of the season because, unless Dean changes up the system and plays like a narrow 4-4-2, there's no way you can accommodate all of those players there. And again, I don't think we can argue with the attacking output that Jack, has contributed to on the wings, especially last season. He's directly involved with the goals and assists. He proved that the other night against Fulham. So this is very much going to be a case of Barkley or Horahan, which, is going to cause a lot of debate with Villa fans. I know I'm not alone in questioning Horahan. Now, I can't deny how much he's stepped up and leveled up and has really, he's a bit of a journeyman, and I think he plays on that, and you can't knock his mentality. Whatever your opinions are about Conor Horahan as a footballer, the way he's climbed through the divisions and became a Premier League player against seemingly all odds from his time at Sunderland, you've got to applaud it, really. But Ross Barkley, what are we getting with Ross Barkley? Now, obviously, he burst onto the scene at Everton, was very impressive there, looked to be quite the prospect, joined Chelsea for, I think it was around £30 million at the time, which seemed like a lot of money. Again, it's one of them ones, English player, there's going to be a premium on Barkley, and hadn't really set the world alight. Now, I believe he enjoyed quite a bit of game time under Sarri. I think Sarri did rate him, but again, Sarri wasn't very well liked by the Chelsea fans. Barkley it just didn't work really in the capital for him. It didn't seem like the right move at the time, to be perfectly honest. It's one of them moves where you've got to strengthen your English quota for Champions League, stuff like that, have your homegrown quota, which I totally get the signing for. And for the fee at the time, Everton would have been stupid to have said no. Hindsight is a wonderful thing, though, and I think if Barkley would have stayed at Everton, we would be looking at some player right now. Now, regardless of the seeming lack of game time at Chelsea, he always seems to get his way into the England squad. And as Dan and I have spoke about on the Villa podcast, he just morphs into a prime Lampard when he's playing for England. It's insane, Yeah, albeit it's against weaker oppositions, but you don't really expect it. And it's always been a slightly frustrating one, especially when we're looking for Jack to get in that England squad. But I think when Barkley has been playing for England, it's actually hard to argue what he's brought to the team isn't good because, he's shown that in his goals, assists. Now, if we're looking at Barkley's all-time record in the Premier League, 202 appearances, which is surprisingly not as high. Again, that transfer to Chelsea probably 4 or 5 years ago now, he would probably have been looking to be at 400 maybe appearances. It just hasn't really worked out for him. And for his whole career, 25 goals, 27 assists. And he plays this kind of number 8 role that we've really been looking to strengthen. Me and Dan have been particularly vocal on the podcast about needing a number 8. I've spoke about Weston McKennie. I've wrote an article about him. He's obviously gone and signed for Juventus. It's a position that I felt Villa needed to address, and we have done. Again, it's come at a low fee. And Barkley's one of them players where when he's got the ball at his feet, he's kind of similar to Jack in the sense that he wants to run and take people on, run at defenders, make them commit. He can create things. And what he's going to add to Aston Villa is so valuable. Like, this isn't another Drinkwater loan where, he's not played a lot of games. He's trying to get fitness back. Danny Drinkwater and Ross Barkley are two very different players. And I think that is very clear to see. And hopefully he can hit the ground running at Villa. Maybe, I'm not sure if he'll have been registered in time to feature in tomorrow's game against Stoke, but we'll have to wait and see. Very excited to see Barkley on the claret and blue for Aston Villa. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this signing. Are you happy it's a loan? Would you like to see it become permanent in the future? Let me know your thoughts about Barkley in the comments below, and subscribe for more content. Dan and I will be coming with another Transfer Rumour podcast pretty soon, I think, as there have been some Diego Costa links. So me and Dan will break that down a bit more potentially in the future. So look out for that. Subscribe for more, and up the Villa. It's the main man, a hero. He's the main leader of the gang. Chester. He's the main leader of the gang now. Chester.